Hello. In today's video, I'm going to show you what we have in our Lovely Time basket. Okay, so we have this basket filled with things, and we call it our Lovely Time. We started doing this late last school year, and we really enjoyed it, so we have been continuing with it, and we're just really enjoying it. So today I'm just going to show you what we have in it. The things that we do have in it, some people have in what they call a morning basket or an afternoon basket. I personally don't like labeling things for certain times or days, so this is just our lovely basket. So everything in this basket, we spend 20 to 30 minutes, usually 20 minutes, but 20 to 30 minutes every morning doing the things in this basket. Now, we do not do every single thing in the basket. It's kind of on a loop. So as soon as it's time to start Lovely Time, we just pick out something, and then we'll work on that during the 20 or 30 minutes. And if we get done within that time period with the topic in that basket, then we'll pick out another thing in that basket to continue with, until we use up our 20 or 30 minutes. So it's a loop thing in here. So some of the things we have scripture memory, and we do our Lovely Time before anything else. How we do our school day is when we wake up, the girls have, and I do it too, we have active music warm-up. And on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist. I think it's titled Active Music Warm-Up Playlist. But anyhow, it's several songs, and we just pick one song a day, and it's like, 2 or 3 minutes long, and we sing and, dance to that song, and it kind of, gets our blood pumping or, moving around. And then when that song is over, then we do our prayer and our devotions. And then once that's over, we have about 25 minutes for that time. And then when that's over, then we do our Lovely Time. And then after that, then we actually move on to the core subjects such as history and math and so on. So in our Lovely basket, our Lovely Time basket, we have scripture memory. And I'm not going to go into detail on this, but we just have verses that we are working on memorizing. And then verses that we have already memorized, we just review those. And I might do another video on that. But if you're interested in knowing how we do that, I took the concept for the scripture memory box, I think is what it's called, at simplycharlottemason.com, that website. I took that exact same concept and just made my own, like literally. I took colored index cards and just manually cut them out, and dated them with each day of the month, with the days of the week. I don't know if you can see that. Let me find one. Nope, you can't see it. Let me get one here. Like days of the week, like there's Wednesday and Tuesday, and then even number, odd number days, things like that, and then daily. So I took the exact same concept they used, and I just made my own. So we have scripture memory, and then in the basket I also have parenting with scripture. This book was recommended to me by a friend. I might do a review on this. I'm just trying to keep this video short, but basically this book is about any character traits or things that your children need to work on, attitude type stuff, like this one's on cheerfulness. It tells you the definition of cheerfulness, and it gives you some Bible verses to help show them that you should have cheerfulness. Then there's always a discussion section, and then ways to apply it to your life, how you can actually have cheerfulness. But every page is a different character trait, moral, stuff like that. So it's a neat book. All right, next in our basket, we just have some Bible trivia cards, and each card has 3 questions on it. And so there's 3 questions, and then it also gives the answer. So each card is like that, and we just do 3 of those cards a day. It's just a fun little thing we do. they were given to us, and so we just use them. Another thing that we have is I bought this book last year. It's 50 Things Every Young Lady Should Know. It's by Kay West. And each chapter is about something different, but it's just a manners book and common courtesy. And it's not just manners like, don't chew with your mouth open, but it's like making introductions, how to set the napkin on your lap, how to answer a telephone, how to be considerate to a house guest, just even taking pictures, taking photographs. It's a pretty good book, and it's very short, so each little, section just takes, well, it depends how long you want, but usually about 5 minutes, and we discuss it, and we kind of role play, give examples of making introductions and things. Then, what we have in the basket, and I know I've showed this book to you several times, this is called Poems for Memorization. Alright, sorry about that. So like I was saying, I have showed you this book a few times and, what curriculum we're using for certain years. But this is just Poems for Memorization. It's by Rod and Staff. And it just has, several poems from grades like 1st all the way through 10th, I believe. Anyhow, so when it's the poetry time, I will actually we have 2 kinds of poetry. Some days I just pick this up and I just read random poems, just for fun, and we talk about it. We don't, get all teachy on it, but we just talk about it and just enjoy it, and, just for fun. And so we do that. And then our other poetry that we do is this year. Now, we've always worked on memorizing poems. They'll memorize a couple poems throughout the school year. But this year, I wanted to focus on one poet for the first time. So we are studying Emily Dickinson. And this is Enjoy the Poems from simplycharlottemason.com. So we have been learning about Emily Dickinson, her life, her ideas and thoughts, looking at some pictures of her on the internet. And we are reading the poems. This whole book has poems that she wrote. Of course, not all of her poems are in here, but there are several poems that she wrote in here. And there is one page in here, a biography of her. It tells you how to enjoy the poems, and then getting to know Emily Dickinson. So we are also reading the poems here, but we are memorizing poems that she wrote. So one poem that we have already memorized, our first quarter ends this week. Okay, so we are done basically with our first quarter. So we are memorizing one poem a quarter. So we have already memorized The Sea of Sunset out of this book, and then next quarter we'll memorize another one out of this book. So that is our poems. Something else that we do that I can't show you because it's on the phone, but we do a catechism. It's a Baptist catechism, and what a catechism is, it's just questions and answers of, like what you believe, your faith and such. So that's also in the loop. And then another thing is the art study, and then a composer study. Now, I do not do an artist, and a composer at the same time, because we did that last year, and it turned out the 2 people we were learning about the artist Monet and the composer Mozart, and they both started with an M-O, and my youngest was, interchanging them, getting them confused, thinking Mozart was the painter and Monet was the composer. So we're not doing that this year. We're going to focus on one at a time. We're going to do one artist and one composer every quarter, but we're not going to do the composer until the artist is done, and we're not going to do another artist until the composer is done. So, like I said, the quarter is over. So for the first quarter, for the artist, we're spending about 4 weeks our quarters have 8 to 10 weeks in them. So we're spending about 4 weeks for studying a composer, and then an artist, and then 4 weeks studying a composer. So we have already learned about Van Gogh, and we have just finished our composer study of Beethoven, and I can't show you that because that is also on the phone. It's a download by Amanda Bennett. It's called Creative Composers, and I recommend it. We really enjoy that. So that's what we're using for our composer study. And our artist study, these are just some books that I had, and we're just, oh, I forgot to show you. Hang on, I'll go show you. Actually, before I go and show you, I might as well tell you what I'm going to show you. Okay, so for our artist study, we're reading books on the artist. We're learning about their methods, their history, their biography, things like that. We are also comparing, like last year, well, the last artist we learned about was Monet, and this one that we just finished was Van Gogh. So we have compared both of their, their techniques, I guess you could say, and looked at the similarities and the differences between them. By doing this, I myself, I have been finding that as I'm driving around town or out in the country, I'm seeing things that I don't know how many times I have told my kids, that looks like something Van Gogh would have painted, and they totally agree with me. And just last week, my youngest said, "Hey, Mommy, look, that looks like wheat field under a clouded sky," which is one of the paintings that Van Gogh had painted, and he named it that. So it's fun. We enjoy it. Okay, so we've been doing that, looking at their pictures. We've also been painting, and that's what I'm going to go show you. I'm going to take you in the dining room and show you. I had them each of my kids pick out one of Van Gogh's paintings that they liked and tried to replicate it themselves to the best of their ability. So I'm going to go show you what they done. Okay, so this is our art wall. It was just a bulletin board, one of those brown bulletin boards that I just painted black and painted the frame white and then put some chicken wire on it. So it is in our dining room, and these are just some things that we have painted so far. But this one right here is my youngest. That was her version of Van Gogh's wheat field under a clouded sky. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but she used some thick white paint up here because Van Gogh, especially in that painting, he liked to paint with thick paint. And then down here is my oldest. I don't know the name of this one, but it's a couple people sleeping, after working in the hay. And this, it's hard to hold the camera like this. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is Van Gogh's actual painting of what my oldest painted. Okay, so I hope you could see that okay. I could not turn my camera, I could not flip the camera to go with the back camera, so I had to turn it like this and I couldn't see, so I hope you could see it okay. But anyhow, so that is what we've been doing for our artist study, and I've told you about the composer study. Okay. Alright, the next thing, actually, that might be it. Oh, they have also in the basket, they each have a notebook where they, like this one's for memory, this side is for memory. So this is my youngest, and she wrote down the poem, The Sea of Sunset, and they just write different things in here, like their scripture memory, the poem memorization. So there's that. And then also in the basket we have these art palettes for the painting. Let's see. I think that's all of the Lovely Time, but I do have their, which they're just in plain 2 pocket folders, but I do have their devotion in this basket as well. And the devotion that they're working on this year, let me see if I can find the first page, but it is by, I don't want to say it if I'm wrong, it is Developing a Quiet Time by Kim Soros, and I think she is, it doesn't say. I think she might be the one Intoxicated on Life. I could be wrong. But anyhow, you could look that up somewhere if you were interested. Developing a Quiet Time by Kim Soros. It's a 28-day thing. Here's the contents. So it's just about helping you to actually develop a quiet time, knowing what a quiet time is and how to do it, things like that, how to develop your own way of doing that. But it's a total of 28 days, and my girls will be done with it tomorrow. It was okay. I mean, I think it would be a really good thing. I think it's great, actually, how it's laid out, but I don't know. To them, it's paperwork, so it's just kind of like, just do it and get it done with. So they're not really, you know, focusing, and I don't know. I don't think it... It is what it is. But they each have one. And then the last thing in the basket, they have another notebook. And these notebooks, it's just, I guess it's just their language notebooks. I don't know what you want to call it. It's a catch-all notebook. But in here, they just write down, because we're not doing spelling, like an actual spelling list. We're doing spelling by dictation. And I'll do that in another video. But they're just, you know, they write down their spelling dictation, or some of their grammar things. Like this was a section on their grammar lesson. They were told to write 4 sentences about this, 4 about that, things like that. So, but that is all that is in this basket. And we just keep this basket on top of the piano. And but the reason I chose to do the basket before all of the core subjects is because things like poetry and artist study and composer study, I guess just those 3 mainly, they would always rarely get done, you know, because you got to do the math and the history and the science and language. You have to do that, right? So those would always just kind of get pushed to the back burner, and sometimes they wouldn't get done, or it was so sporadical that it didn't really matter because you weren't really learning anything anyhow. So late last school year, we decided to do them first and force ourselves to do those, because you know you're going to go ahead and do the math and the rest of the stuff. So, you know, we do our active music warm-up, and then we do our prayer and quiet time, which is their devotions, and then we do everything in this, well, not everything, but we loop the things that are in this basket for about 20 to 30 minutes, and whatever did not get done, that's perfectly fine, because we'll have another 20 or 30 minutes tomorrow to, you know, pick up with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it made sense. So thank you for watching.